Welcome to Just Break Up, the podcast about love, heartbreak, and all the relationship advice you don't want to hear. My name is Sierra DeMulder.
And I'm Sam Blackwell. And today we're going to answer a letter from somebody who can't help thinking about her partner's former sex life. But before we begin, we just want to give you our Surgeon General's warning, which is that Sierra and I are not licensed mental health practitioners.
No, we are not. We're not licensed to anything other than drivers. So please take our advice as you see fit. We're only here to offer our humble musings, so hopefully shed some understanding and maybe some laughs about the incredibly rewarding, but mostly confusing experience that is love.
All right, let's get into today's letter. This letter comes from your friendly neighborhood circle, whose pronouns are she, her, and they, them, whose location is, who's writing from the leg holes of a used strap-on. I'll get right into it. I'm a female adjacent person, they, she, 19, dating an incredible female adjacent person, she, they, 18, in the same college as me. We'll call her Rain. She is gorgeous, smart, talented, unendingly thoughtful, securely attached, and the most loving person I have ever known. If it's not already clear, I am so in love with her. This is a newer relationship, and because I wanted to take things slow, I have a lot of abandonment trauma and sexual trauma. We only started having sex last month. I guess it also feels important to say that I am anxiously attached and struggle with generalized anxiety disorder, which my therapist calls a, quote, double punch in the face in terms of the kinds of worries I am experiencing here. So here's the thing. Rain and I have both had a lot of sexual experiences before each other. For me, it was sometimes liberating and sometimes coping with family things that were going on or my own feelings of worthlessness and invisibility. Sex felt like the furthest thing and the closest thing to myself, and I am learning how to enjoy it with a person who I am letting truly see me for how and who I am. But for Rain, sex was mostly a really positive space, and everyone she has had sex with were people that she knew quite well. Even though we have very similar levels of experience, or sheerly speaking from a physical perspective, I may have more. I feel light years behind and am drowning in insecurities. I was also raised religious and know I am still unlearning all that I learned from that. This weekend, we spent an amazing 4 days in a nice hotel room and spent hours making love to each other. It was incredible, but there was a moment in the reliving it where I became intensely angry, not at Rain, but at everything. I realized that she had probably fucked other girls to the playlists that she fucked me to, and then realized my own hypocrisy. 3 other girls had used the strap-on I gave her to use on me. I'm so impressed with and skeptical of her secureness. She didn't ask who had used it before. It wasn't a problem. She said she found it so hot that I had already been inside of me. I want to feel that way. Instead, I'm caught in this weird mix where it's hot and also drives me insane in a bad way because, oh my God, she's strapped another girl. And isn't that hot and isn't that terrible? It's not even a, what if she liked them better? I know our connection is really special to both of us, and she proves it to me again and again. It's just a hatred that it ever happened, even though I know that the lovers that came before me made her who she is, and I would never change a single thing about this incredible person I feel so lucky every day to have in my life. Somebody play All Your Exes by Julia Michaels. I have it on repeat right now. So, friends, what do I do with the stifling feelings that what we have means less because we're both more than what we've done with each other? How can I cognitively justify feeling so special when we do all the same things we've done before with other people, listening to the same playlists and using the same sex toys? And God, there are only so many things you can go on do for dates. Is something wrong with me? With love, your friendly neighborhood circle, because I'm not a whore, but I've definitely gotten around, and now I need to figure out how to let something feel special.
All right, my darling. Thank you so much for writing and trusting us with this letter. I relate to some of this, like, skin on fire, like, not making sense anger. Mm-hmm. That can happen when you realize, like, your partner has a past.
Well, how dare they?
And how the insanity of it is so relatable. Just like the fury, the unreasonableness, but like the legitimacy of how palpable the real anger is and the confusion about like how palpable it is. But the reality of it is unavoidable, right? Like people do have past. People have fucked before. People, I'm going to crush everyone out there. Like that love song that you equate to one person in your life, they equate it to somebody else. Do you know what I mean? Like that's just, sure. It's those markers of emotion and connection are transferable, unfortunately. Unfortunately, they just are. Anyway, so I relate to this. This is something that I have worked through a ton in my life. I'm somewhat ashamed to say that I've worked like that I've struggled with similar thoughts, but I also think it's like very relatable, very understandable, because we are brought up with this idea of purity and specialness, and we're getting really mixed messaging about specialness, right? Especially when it comes to intimacy, romance, and sex. You know, how can something be special if it's done more than once? How can something be intimate if it's a replication of something done with somebody else? You know, sure. On paper, we're like, this doesn't make sense. But in real world, let me tell you that this is all very normal. Yep. And that this discomfort that you're feeling is unfortunately not telling you something that you need to act upon. Right. Instead, we just have to get used to feeling uncomfortable. So we're going to get into all of that and more and talk about some strap-on stories. But first, we're going to take a quick break.
All right, everyone, welcome back. Yeah, and especially welcome back to our letter writer. You know, I think that this conversation is making me think about a conversation that we had at our most recent office hours, where we sort of talked about firsts and the importance of firsts, or like the purity of firsts. And I think that like kind of relates to what the letter writer is talking about, which is this idea of like something is less meaningful if it has been used before or done before, right? Like that we have to be in constant pursuit of newness, of freshness, because doing the same thing or doing something that somebody has already done with someone else makes it less special, less important, right? And I think it ties back to the idea of like purity culture, right? Like, oh, it's worth less if you have said, I love you to somebody else, because that like spreads it out and makes it less, like there's less value in it, right? Or the idea of like, oh, you have already used a strap-on on somebody before, so you have been inside them, which makes your purity less pure, and now you're not experiencing it in the heightened way that you would if we were both each other's firsts, right? And I think it's important to challenge some of that, because I think it's important to, reject this idea of purity culture, right? Like that things have to be pure in order to be valuable, because honestly, as I've gotten older, it has really made me understand that like things grow in value when they have been more used. Like it is just like so nice to know that, like, for example, like Peter has a whole life that doesn't revolve around me, that like he is bringing into this dynamic, because it is like, it takes so much like of the pressure off to like be good and perfect and pure all the time, to instead just be like, no, the two of us have been through shit together and separately. And like, that makes it easier for us to just be in a relationship, because we don't have to worry about that kind of stuff anymore. And of course, purity culture is tied to the patriarchy and the idea that women are only as valuable as their chastity, right? That they are sold goods between people and are somehow diminished if they have been used, quote unquote, used before, right? And I also want to challenge the idea of newness or one person in a way that sort of recognizes the fact that actually encourages us to demonogamize our thinking about people, and to recognize the ways that our partners are made better by their relationships and experiences that they have with other people, right? Peter would be significantly less of a partner to me if I was his only relationship, and if I was the only person that ever helped him experience things that he loves and that are new to him, right? Same with me, right? I would be a much worse partner to Peter if I was only doing things and experiencing things with him, right? Because like there's so much that we learn separately, experience separately, that allows us to show up for each other in ways that are meaningful and compassionate, and that we couldn't do if we didn't have networks of support and experience and you know, the ability to experience things with people. If we didn't have that, it would be our relationship would be significantly diminished, right? I'm so glad that he has people that he can go see scary movies with, right? I'm so glad that he has had people in his past that he's experienced different types of sex with, because it would feel so much pressure for me to be the one who's constantly introducing him to new things, to being the only one that he can experience joy with. Like, that's so much pressure to put on myself and for me to expect of him. Right. And so I want to like release some of these ideas, because I want us to recognize that we're interdependent, not just with our partners, but with our entire communities of people who are around us. And that interdependence actually makes us stronger than this like sort of monogamized idea of the world where we have to be everything for our partner.
Yes. I think that's so stunning. And I want to say to our letter writers, anxious little heart, from my anxious, withered heart.
Talk about what it feels like in your body when this is happening.
I want the next... I will.
I came up with lots of ideas.
I'm going to tell you, my darling. No. You were totally spot on, and I'm actually going to loop it back to what you were going to say, but I want to say this first to the letter writer. The next time you find yourself on one of these little thought spirals, you were like, oh my God, I had such a fun, sexy, hot weekend of sex.
Sounds great.
With this person who I love.
4 days.
And then you were like, I was reliving it, and I was reliving it. Are you kidding me? You would have hated that.
Yeah, I would have been like, can we go somewhere, please?
Yeah. Can we go to a coffee shop?
Like, I want to read. Can we walk around for a bit, please?
Yeah. Anyway, so sorry. So you just got off of this 4-day sex adventure, and it was awesome, and it was intimate, it was cute, it was fun, it was sexy, whatever. And you're like reliving it, and you're like, and then I got inhumanely angry at random things, right? The next time you're on one of those little spirals where you're like, wow, that was a great weekend. I wonder if she played this playlist for somebody else or whatever. I want you to hold your own hand, pretend it's me holding your hand. And I want you to say to yourself, I can hurt myself forever like this. There's no way in which I cannot hurt myself when I'm thinking this way. You will always, as one anxiously attached person to another, you will always find a way to hurt yourself if you stay on that track thinking, right? It's not to say it's just going to stop immediately. It's not going to say you don't explore it. It's not going to say that you're not going to have the physical reaction of anxiety, of anger, of your nervous system being like, oh my God, did she hear this song is 10 years old? How many lovers did she play it with or whatever? You know what I mean? It's not that the anger is going to go away or the insecurity is going to go away, but I just want you to tell yourself there is no peace here. I can hurt myself forever thinking this way. Literally, I've been with my wife it'll be 7 years this summer, right? I could hurt myself forever if I wanted to think about all of the love and the sex and the joy and the first that she experienced with other people. I could hurt myself forever. I could literally forever. It would be endless.
Yeah.
And at that point, like, yes, anxiously attached folks, we need other people. We deserve support. We deserve people to help us through our little spirals. But when it comes to this one thing, I really just think it's so important for us to say to ourselves, we can hurt ourselves forever if we want to. If you want to stay here in that space, it will hurt for as long as we ask it to hurt. Do you know what I mean? And I say that in like a weird comforting way. Like if you continue to think down that line about all of the ways in which she has fucked other people, it will hurt forever if you wanted to. So then what are you left with? You are left with the choice to say, oh, I'm doing that thing that actively hurts me again. Let me see if I can redirect my energy. Oh, I'm doing that thing that actively hurts me again. Let me see what needs to be soothed right now. Oh, I'm doing that thing that actively hurts me again. How can I reset myself in reality? My partner's choosing me. We have a great sex life. I love all the ways in which her life has made her. Because it's like, the anxiety is going to come up. The physical anxious spiral, the nervous system uptick, it's going to happen. And then we have to be like, I could stay here forever if I wanted to, but I don't want to. You don't want to. You don't want to be here all the time, right? And let me tell you, as somebody with an anxious attachment style, somebody with a strap-on that has seen other people. This is I have literally had to soothe myself by thinking, I didn't ask all of my other lovers to change their penises. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
I didn't ask all my other lovers to like get a new set of genitals. Do you know what I mean? I'm creating this barrier in my mind between me and my peace by being like, oh my God, this was on somebody else. Yes, I was all... For a second, I was like, we need to get a new mattress, honey. Like, I am not sharing this mattress. And then I remembered how much mattresses are. And fucking strap-ons are so expensive. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Like, we could do this for... Why I'm sharing this mortifyingly embarrassing facts about myself is that I could do this forever. I could hurt myself like this forever if I constantly held my relationship to the standard to which my anxiety wants it to be held to. But let me tell you something. I said... My wife and I will be together 6-7 years this summer. The intimacy that I have now with her, the intimacy that we have built over the years that we have been doing the same old shit together, right? Nothing new, nothing exciting, no first. There's no first anymore, right? The intimacy that I have with my wife now is profoundly greater, more rewarding, more loving, more soothing, more peaceful than any of those other firsts in my entire life. So I'd much rather take that first, right? The first of actually resting in the love of someone, right? Actually being with them, all of them, right now, as they are, as they will be, as they were before me, right? The peace that I have found in this relationship cannot even touch the magic that we felt in the beginning, the magic that I felt with the first person who made a playlist for me, the magic that I felt the first time I had the chaoticness that I felt the first time I had sex with somebody. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to like paint the picture of like, it can hurt forever if we let it, but there's peace beyond the hurt, right? Like if we just recognize that our anxiety is asking us of something that is unsustainable, right? It's not realistic to ask our partners to have no history because we're not asking it of ourselves, right? This is just a way that our anxiety finds a means to hurt us.
And at the same time, it makes so much sense given the stories that we are told and like how vulnerable it feels to be vulnerable. You know what I mean? Like how exposed we can feel when we are, in the initial stages of relationship where we're trying to feel people out literally and figuratively, and like, develop the safety that comes with, knowing that this person is with you for the long haul. Right. And so it like makes sense that our brains experience deep intimacy, deep vulnerability by, engaging in, these 4-day vacations with somebody. And then immediately afterwards, our protective, but also cruel parts of us come out and say,
oh my God,
you idiot.
Protective and cruel. That's so right?
Good. Like, you idiot. Why did you show vulnerability to somebody who has shown that same intimacy to someone else? Like you're going to get hurt. Right. Or, oh my God, the fact that she has listened to this playlist with someone else means that she is never capable of holding your vulnerability in a way that's going to protect it and honor it, right? Like it's our most tender parts of us feeling exposed and understandably trying to find ways to build the walls back up, right? To put the protective coating back up. And so for many of us, I think the easiest way for that to happen is by practicing cruelty to ourselves and saying, you shouldn't have done that. You should have known better. You made us unsafe. What are you doing? Right. And that protectiveness is so deeply understandable because vulnerability is scary and people take advantage of it. And we've probably all had experiences where people have, or we've had parents or loved ones teach us that vulnerability isn't safe, right? We certainly get that message from all of the media that we're consuming. And so part of it is holding that tender, scared part of us and saying, I know you're trying to protect me from being hurt. And also being hurt is a part of building relationship with people, right? Being hurt is not something we can avoid for our entire lives because vulnerability is what we're looking for. So I appreciate that you're trying to protect me by telling me that this is less meaningful than I think it is, by telling me that I should be aware of the fact that this person is capable of being in relationship with other people if that person's not me. But I don't need that protection from you right now. I'm trying to do something that involves me not being protective and instead being
transcends it.
Absolutely.
Yep, totally.
Consenting to being open and vulnerable and recognizing the ways that opening myself up to this person could hurt me, but could also offer me kindness and love and tenderness and the capacity to hold that tender part of myself, not just for me personally by closing it off as much as possible, but by offering all of these wonderful things that can help hold that tenderness in partnership together. And that's beautiful, right? That's what you're looking for. And that protective voice is trying to tell you that it's impossible or that you can't have it. But I'm here to tell you that is possible. It will have hurt in it for sure, but it will also have so much love and an amazing connection with this person or with other people that may come after this person who might look at this person and say, I can't believe that my new partner has had this person in their life that they've done all these things with, right? Because that is, life just continues. We're reading this book for this book club that we have, and I literally wrote down this quote, and it is, that's all life is, he wants to tell her. It's just continuing. And I feel that in so many different ways in this letter, because that is what life is. It's just continuing. It is just people coming together with their histories and their stories and finding ways to recognize that.
I love that. If it's not abundantly clear, we love you and we're rooting for you. And we also see ourselves in you as you see yourselves in us. And it's all a part of it, right? You're doing the right thing. We're so glad that you wrote us. We hope this helps. And yeah, thank you so much for writing.
We love you. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. If you would like more content from us, or if you would like access to our monthly office hours, you can support us on Patreon. If you support us on Patreon for as little as $5 a month, you'll get an additional bonus weekly episode, as well as access to our monthly office hours, which is when we hop on Zoom and chat with anyone who wants to chat with us. So we answer questions in real time. We share stories. We listen to what folks are going through. It's super fun, super fulfilling. Our next office hours are going to be at 3 p.m. on Sunday, December 29th. So right between Christmas and New Year's, and also right in the midst of Hanukkah. So come celebrate all of the holidays with us. That's patreon.com/justbreakuppod.
You can slide into our DM, send us your favorite relationship memes, but most importantly, you can submit your questions about all matters of the heart at justbreakuppod.com, which is also where you can find our merchandise.
Please remember to like, follow, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating and review. This literally keeps our mics on and helps us reach more brokenhearted souls who need two random strangers giving them relationship advice.
Just Break Up is a production of Duvid Media, original music, recording, editing, producing, all magical things by our good friend Spencer Worth Davis. Make sure to check out his podcast and his music. And remember, at all times, our nervous systems, our hearts, our minds, they're just trying to protect us, even if they're doing it poorly, even if they're acting out patterns and behaviors that we know better, that we developed in times in which we didn't have all of the tools and perspectives we have now. But right now, today, moving forward, whenever we find ourselves in those anxious spirals, whenever we find ourselves pulling away from the vulnerability of life and leaning on those old patterns, we can stop ourselves, take a deep breath, tell ourselves we are safe, right? It is okay to move forward into this unknown discomfort. That's where the connection is. That's where the magic is. That's where love can be found, in this unknown. And if all else fails,
just break up.